Welcome back to Chesterfield's Proact Stadium and this Cards on the Table feature. We've talked to Neil Warnock about Warnock the player. What about Warnock the manager? Fair to say he does have a certain reputation.
What about Neil Warnock the player? What about Neil Warnock the manager? You do have a certain reputation.
Yeah, I mean, I have. Listen, I've always been like that, really. If I hadn't have had that sort of edge, I don't think I could have had 7 promotions. You know, I think you've got to have a little bit of something different. And yes, I know it might not have helped me being a qualified referee, I don't think, at the time. But I used to enjoy refereeing. That used to be my get-out as a player on a Sunday morning. I used to love going, especially I used to referee the Worksop District and the Sheffield Sunday League. And, you know, some tough places I used to referee, but I enjoyed it, that. But, you know, once again, I used to talk to players and, you know, and all sorts of things. And but I went out and enjoyed it.
And refereeing from the perspective of being a player as well, so you really understood the game. I know that's one of your bugbears, that you think referees don't understand the game, but they've all played, albeit badly, at a low level. They have it.
I just think it's that feeling when you get kicked from behind a lot of the time that some younger referees have never experienced. You know, they've gone out. Probably not had the experience of playing at, you know, high, not necessarily professional, but higher up, and it's something I just feel is lacking a little bit in the major decisions. I think I see the general, you know, you can get by with 75–80% by knowing the rules, knowing the game, but the major decisions, I think you need to know a little bit more. You've got to know a bit about how the game evolves. You know, why is he doing it? Why is he looking to do that? A lot of the top referees can stop something before it even start because they see that develop in a game. You know, you see somebody's probably just got a whack from somebody, so you'll spot it and have a run across to him and say, "Let me deal with it," type of thing. Whereas, you know, some people, when I'm watching a game and I see a big incident that's missed, or that the referee comes up with the wrong assessment, a lot of the time I think it's because he's not aware of what's hit him, really. It's something out of the blue. You know, I know a lot of a couple of years ago I was very critical of Moss. John Moss, yeah, when I was working on BT. But it was in 80% he got everything right, but it was just the major things that he got wrong, and he used to blow up, and he always seemed to be in. But in fairness to John, I think he's got a lot better now. He seems to have lost that, and he's handling the soul, and I think he talks a bit more now. It was almost like he was frightened to talk to anybody, you know, whereas I think you've got to get a relationship.
What about you? You were known there to be bawling away at officials from the touchline. You didn't hold back in press conferences, and you used to slam them there. Do you look back and regret any of that? I don't think you regret. I mean, sometimes you look at some of my blowouts and you think, bloody hell, how did I not get a heart attack or something like that? You know. But it's something that just happened at the time, and cost me a lot of money over the years, Alan. Could have built a building, I think a few good buildings with the money I've given the FA over the years. But it's just how I was, and that's, you know, it's unfortunate for some people who like that. But did you make enemies among referees?
Oh yeah,
hated you
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you must do when you go off like I do. But I think one or two of them caught up with me. I had a couple of opportunities to get me done in the end. I always felt that they were there waiting for me.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, you've got to take that as well, really, because that's bound to happen. It's human nature, isn't it?
Was any of it to intimidate referees in a calculated way?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'd be lying to say it wasn't. You know, certain games, certain situations where I felt that I had to do something, you know, to change certain things, and that's how it worked. You know, that's how our managers work. You know, at the top level now, you've got to have that little bit of an edge, haven't you? And you've got, if you can see an advantage either in the pre-match talking about referees, etc., which is banned now, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, which is quite right.
You can't even praise them.
No. So I think, you know, to get an advantage, I think, you know, there have been opportunities for me over the years, as all managers, and you take it if you can get an advantage, or you think you can get an advantage.
But you're there on the sideline in the ear of the fourth official. Surely the fourth official should have something more constructive to do than to be a soak-up or these barbs. Shouldn't he really be looking at the field and supporting the referee?
Yeah, he should. But most fourth officials are pretty good guys, I think. I mean, they're all qualified, and I think it does them a bit of good to understand where a manager's coming from. Because when you're on the side looking at an incident and you hear the manager going off, you know, you can see that same incident and you might agree with the manager.
Yes.
And then you see it with different eyes when you're a fourth official stood next to the manager, and I think sometimes that can help.
But he's not going to tell you that his colleague made a mistake, is he?
Yes, yeah, I've had that. Oh, yes, I've had that, definitely, yeah. I've had him, you know, saying that, you know, on a couple of occasions I had the fourth official tell me after he spoke to the referee, you know, minutes later, that he realised he's made a mistake. You know,
appreciate that.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah, at the time you say, "Bloody hell, he's not going to help me now, is it?"
No.
But I think it's quite human to actually admit to making a mistake. A lot of people will never ever admit to anything like that. But I think most fourth officials would like to help the referee if they could see anything, and that's coming in a little bit more now. I think that needed. You know, I never forget my Bristol City episode where Freddie Sears scores down the middle of the goal and we're all celebrating and Bristol City's heads are on the floor and the four people in the ground that didn't see it go in at the back of the stanchion at the back of the goal, in the middle of the goal were the people in black.
Yeah.
And you know, whereas, you know, the fourth official stood with us. He realised when Gary Johnson was the manager then, and I said to him, "You've got to let us score, haven't you now?" Yeah. Everybody knows it was a goal, but you know, I felt sorry for the officials, really. I mean, I went in after to see him, but it wasn't to rollick him. I actually felt sorry for him.
Because they couldn't give
because they'd made what was a major mistake, and I think I don't think it helped that referee for the rest of his career.
You've earned your reputation fair and square. 7 promotions is remarkable. I think you've had something like 14 clubs, including non-league, as a manager, which is a terrific at all levels as well. But do you feel that you've attracted fame as well for the way that you are on the touchline? Did you start to play up to it and start to use it?
No, I don't think you do, really. I think you are what you are. You'll always use situations, like I said to you, whether it's a referee before a game or, you know, when you could use the press. But in general, I think people, when they look at me, they used to call me the Marmite Man, didn't they? You like him or you love him or you hate him. But I think what it is the game's changing all the time, isn't it? And you've got to be on top. But from my own point of view, my biggest fault was I'm always tell the truth, or I try and always tell the truth. If somebody asks me a question, I give them an answer because I'm a Yorkshire lad. And really, if I have one regret, I should have probably used my intelligence a little bit more to avoid some of the fines, which I did once. If I don't know whether you remember the time, but I'd been fined about 3 times by the disciplinary committee, whatever you call them, compliance unit.
Yes.
And I was in the top level this time, and then I saw an interview by Sir Alex Ferguson, and then I saw it in the paper what he'd said about the referee, and I thought, if that was me, I'd get fined. Yeah. Without a shadow of a doubt, if that were Neil Warnock, I would get hammered. So what I did is I cut the write-up out, and I kept it in my inside pocket.
Right.
About what a referee had done, why he'd done it, about a certain player, you know. And the following week, something happened in my game, and they asked me in, pushed the microphone under me. I said, "Well, could I just?" I got the piece of thing. I said, "Look, Sir Alex Ferguson said last week," and I'd have to agree with him on that particular case.
Yeah.
So, but I did it for about 3 weeks, and then I got a letter from the compliance, and if I used it again, they'd charge me. So I got away with it 3 weeks.
Just a letter, but it's a point very well made and very effective.
Some managers do get away with a lot more than others.
You became a pantomime figure though, didn't you, on the touchline? You're part of the spectacle.
Yeah, but I think that's what I think the game needs. It needs characters. It don't need to be bland all the time. You know, I mean, my biggest bugbear with the disciplinary thing is not letting players take the shirts off when they score a goal. You know, for me, it's scandalous. You know, the most enjoyable part of playing football is scoring a goal, and I'll look at it and I think, what harm would it do?
But why do they still take the shirts off? Because they know they're going to get a...
And they get fined from the manager as well, yeah. You know. So, but it's, you know, it is difficult, but, you know, it's just one of the aspects of the game.
We've enjoyed in the media very much having you around, and we hope you're going to be around again. It's the final question, but it's the one you get asked all the time. Are you going to come back as a manager?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have thought so, but I mean, I've had 3 more comebacks after I'd retired, so who knows what's around the corner. I do think when you're finishing football, and I look at the younger managers now and the media and everything, I think there's a place to help a younger manager. It's just obviously if you're around and you're upstairs or what have you, you know, people might think you're a threat. I mean, there's no way in that situation, but I'm sure I could try and help somebody in that situation. But as far as managing concerns, I don't think so as we talk. But who knows? Who knows what's around the corner?
I've never believed you retired. You once told me that you were going to retire at 55. I know you're a bit older.
At Sheffield,
than that.
yeah.
Yes, you did. And I didn't believe it then, and I don't believe it now. Neil, thanks very much.
Thanks, Alan. Cheers.